Welcome back. So if you remember last time, I broke this trim spring when I was testing the force that it took to pull on the stick all the way when the trim was set to full nose down. So this is how I'm going to fix it. I've got this spring, which is just a regular metal spring, and I've already cut like one ring off the one side there, as you can see, and went up to Britt's, and Britt was nice enough to help me with creating this. So we just basically took a bit of solid rod there, and Britt took it down on the Bridgeport there and made it sort of like a half circle there, and so that slides in there, as you can see, and that gives me some adjustment, and then I can shorten that if I need to. And the idea is just trying to emulate the other spring. So I've got these little washers. I also created little spacers that are the same thickness as that the spring material, and just created a few of those for either end. And this way, this end here can bolt to the existing bracket, which is on the torque tube, and match up with those holes there, basically the same as that other spring. And then on the other end, this will just bolt on there with a spacer in there as well. So just sort of emulating what I had. It's not going to be as smooth, but I think it should work for now. And I was thinking about using just a torsion spring, but it was going to be difficult to try and set that up in there with the torque tube already bolted in place, and trying to get back behind that panel now to put that in there and slide it on to the torque tube was going to be difficult at best. So I figured we'll just try this and see how it works out. So anyway, that's the plan. Get that in place, and it took a while to get that sorted out at Britt's to figure out exactly how to do it. And as you can see, Matt, to show you here, so that just slides in there, and as I said, I can shorten that if I need to, but having the extra length in there just means that only like really half of the spring is being used right now. So as you can see, it flexes there from about the midpoint and then back the other way. And if I needed to have it flex more, I could just shorten that rod. So this is what it looks like fully assembled and ready to bolt into place. And then the top bit sort of put on there as well, and just some washers on that top area there, and then the other spacer in there. So basically emulating the same dimensions as the other one, pretty much. So next thing is to do is bolt it in place and give it a try. So here it is, bolted in, and it seems to work. It's not putting as much tension on the stick as what the other one is, but really what its goal is here is just to be able to hold trim. So you know, if you set the trim to a certain thing, it should be able to hold the elevator there, and you know, this will remain to be seen whether that'll work or not when it's flying. But anyway, it's safe enough now that it will be able to hold trim at some point there, or you know, to some extent, and we'll just see how it is for flying. And it doesn't take that much to override it when it's, you know, in one of the maximum or minimum positions there, to, you know, override it to the other way. So anyway, we'll give it a try and see how it works out, and if it's not ideal, then change it up later on. And here you can see I'm just taking it through the motions from full nose down to full nose up, just to make sure it's hitting those stops there and not causing any problems. And yeah, it's a little bit noisy because of the way the spring's hitting on that thing, but anyway, you won't hear that when the engine's running. So we'll see how it works out. And I picked up this cable so I can capture cockpit audio, so you'll see that in coming videos, but here's a sample of what it's going to sound like.
Wind, calm, visibility 10,000, scattered, temperature 25 Celsius, 2.21 altimeter.
Test 1 2 1 2 1 2. Test 1 2 1 2 1 2.
And I don't know if you picked up on that, but when it's quiet, you actually hear some static creeping in, so I'll have to see if I can try and fix that. And the next job was to seal off the nose hatch, so I've got this little bit of rubber seal there that I put in place to stop any water from sort of leaking in the top edge there and keep all that wiring dry, and also put some on the front side edges there as well, so hopefully that'll keep that dry. We'll see. And on to the big job of this video was protecting the cowling, which is all carbon fiber, from the heat of the exhaust system there and the two turbos. So as you can see, I've got that heat blanket that I showed you I think a couple of videos ago. It's basically a metal skin, and then it has, I think, like a wool or fiberglass backing on it, and it's pretty conforming, so it molds around whatever you want to put it on. And then of course I've got some of those strap ties on there to sort of wrap it around the exhaust. But there are some places here, like where the exhaust pipe comes through the cowling at the very end of the pipe, where you know, I can't really have that the heat shield wrapped around there quite so much. So what I've done is using some more of this gold stuff, which can handle up to 800 degrees. Just using that on the inside of the cowling there. That's, you know, potentially where you know, a heat problem could occur. You know, from being close to where the exhaust is. So I just stuck a piece on there, or a couple of pieces on there, close to where the, you know, the exhaust pipe is, and now I'm just sort of trimming around the edge there, where the little radius is that matches the sort of shape of the exhaust pipe. And I did the same thing on the lower side cowling as well, and that allowed me to sort of just trim back the protective shielding there on the exhaust itself. So you know, you're not going to see that there as it's sticking out of the cowling. You'll see that here in a second. Anyway, so while I'm finishing off on that and you're watching that, I'll just let you know I'm still waiting on the prop shaft. It was supposed to be early this week, and now I've been told that the shop will have it back from Cromer, the Cromer and Harding shop, either Wednesday or Thursday, so tomorrow or the next day, which means most likely the earliest I'll be able to pick it up is Friday, which is kind of a bummer, because, you know, they told me middle of July, and then end of July, and then last week, and then early this week, and now the end of this week, and it's just constantly, and there's never any excuses. It's just like, oh, it's just not ready. So anyway, I have to put up with that, and that's just what it is. So this is what that looks like now in place, and as you could see, the silver heat shield there is kind of exposed there through the hole there. So what I did there is I just trimmed that out, as you can see there, so that looks better, and it's still protected there because of the gold that I put on there, and that way I shouldn't get any blistering or from any heat, you know, on the carbon fiber cowling. And then same thing on the lower one, just in the area there where it could get hot, and there's plenty of air going to be rushing past there because it's right in front of the prop, so it should stay fairly cool around there, and by that point the exhaust isn't that hot. So anyway, that's our update for the first half of this week. Thanks again for watching. Tune in again on Saturday, and maybe I'll have some good news about the prop shaft.